Hey, we're here with John Danaher at the Roca Performance Center after another successful training session. John, how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Wonderful. John, before I get into the WNO card that we have coming up, can you just tell me how's the team doing? How's the team looking? Checking in after ADCC. Just how are things?
Very good. It's a time after ADCC where there's a short period of time where the athletes go away typically and engage in professional obligations, their seminar tours, making videos, etc. So for the first 3 weeks after ADCC, it tapers off almost entirely. It's just the youngsters working out on the mat. But now you see many of the professional athletes are back. The competition season is back in full swing. You've got WNO coming up, No-Gi World Championships are coming up, and so now all the main figures are back in the gym.
Definitely, and you mentioned No-Gi Worlds there. I'd love to be able to just ask you about that really quickly. You have a few color belts coming up,
Yes.
competing at the No-Gi World Championships, particularly Dorian Olivarez.
Yes.
Can you tell me about his prospects for there and what it's like coaching Dorian?
I think it's probably fair to say anyone who follows grappling has an inkling of who Dorian Olivarez is, and he's been this person that people talk about as a prospect, but I think it's pretty clear at this point that Dorian's going to be one of the most significant figures in grappling over the next 5 to 10 years. If he can keep going at the progress that he's making, he will be a true force in the grappling world. He is an outstanding talent in every aspect.
I saw you working with him a little after class and helping merge some jiu-jitsu and wrestling techniques that maybe he's bringing that not every grappler is able to replicate. Can you talk about the challenge and the process of helping him create this kind of unique style?
Well, Dorian has a very unique style, and that comes mostly from the work of his father. A lot of people aren't aware that his father is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. They look at Dorian's style and they just assume that the father coaches him in wrestling, but he's actually a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And so he's done an amazing job since Dorian was very young of integrating wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And we're trying to take that further by integrating leg lock work, both defensive and offensive, improving his strangulations, and just giving him more of a sense of submission offense and defense. Positionally, we're trying to improve his pinning ability and his chest-to-chest guard passing ability. He already has outstanding toreando guard passing. He can pass anyone in the world from outside. He's got a fantastic top game. He's got a very underestimated bottom game. He's way better on bottom than most people give him credit for. And when I think of Dorian, I think of him as a kind of an integrated grappler, where he's an outstanding wrestler, but also has outstanding jiu-jitsu skills, and those skills are getting better by the day. So, as you've seen in recent performances, he can go against even truly elite level grapplers, both here in the gym and out there in competition, and do extremely well. So I think he could be a real force at the Mundials, the No-Gi World Championships this year.
Awesome. We'll definitely be looking out for that. Everything getting started a week from Saturday, or maybe a little earlier than that, like a week from Thursday.
Now. Yes.
So I want to focus in on this WNO card while I have you here. I want to start with the main event, which doesn't have any of your athletes, but athletes that you're familiar with, certainly. Kainan Duarte taking on Roberto Jimenez. What are your thoughts on this fight as someone who has coached against both of them?
It's a crazy matchup on the surface because one is obviously much more physically imposing than the other. But Roberto used to train with us in New York quite often, and he's someone whose style does really well against larger athletes. That's because he puts such a heavy emphasis on getting behind his opponents. He's very, very good at taking the back, both from standing and on the ground. And the back is one of those positions where strength is irrelevant. If you get on someone's back, they're going to have to know how to get out. It's not just strength that's going to do it. And Roberto really is very good at getting to an opponent's back in a scramble. He's proven in other competitions that he can go against much bigger opponents. I remember he had a very competitive match against Nicky Rod. So he's proven in the past that he can go up against bigger athletes. I believe at last year's no-gi world championships. He won the open weight. That's more proof that he's effective against bigger athletes. I think Kainen's a very smart tactical fighter. He's got a great skill set. He proved that at ADCC with a truly outstanding performance. And the one criticism which people have of Kainen is inconsistency. And if you look at that inconsistency, it usually comes from him underestimating an opponent. When he underestimates people, that's when Kainen has problems. But when he plays his A game, he is a very, very well-rounded, highly skilled grappler. I don't think he's going to underestimate Roberto just because he's smart and realizes Roberto is a very, very dangerous athlete. And so it should be a fascinating matchup.
Definitely. And then I want to start to break into some of this card and talk about a few of the athletes that New Wave will be having on the card. We're always loving that. The co-main event will be Isaac Michel, who is here training and visiting and
Yes.
Has been training with the team, taking on Pedro Mourinho for the 205-pound belt. Can you give me your thoughts on this matchup and Isaac as a student, what you're expecting?
First off, the matchup, it's a really interesting one. Pedro Mourinho is just one of those guys who's just very, very tough, competes very, very well. He has a very good methodology for competition. He refuses to give up bottom position voluntarily. He has very good foot sweeps in the standing position. He's got a very dangerous guillotine, so he can attack you with foot sweeps while standing upright. And that enables him to take advantage of his guillotine. When people go in to shoot, he'll fire away with that guillotine. He plays that threat very, very well. And if you don't shoot, he'll take you down with foot sweeps. If you do shoot, he'll finish you with the guillotine. So that's always been a very successful methodology for him in standing position. And he's an outstanding guard passer. He proved that. I believe he passed Craig Jones's guard. That's a difficult thing to do. And so he's proven he can no-gi pass the toughest guards in the world. It's going to come down to who gets top position. Now, Isaac also has outstanding guard passing, and Isaac also is very, very good in the standing position. So the interest value of this match is they're going to come out, and they're both athletes want top position. Neither one's prepared to sit down and take bottom, and that's where most of the interest is in this match. Isaac's done a fantastic job over the years of developing his game in both standing and ground positions. He's one of the best guard passers in the world, and he's got some of the best wrestling for jiu-jitsu in the world. He's proven this on multiple occasions. The irony is that when Isaac first started training with us back in New York, back in the old days, he was mostly a guard player, and his favorite move was the arm lock. But those days are long gone, and now he's mostly the integration of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And so it's going to be this fascinating battle of standing position for Pedro, based more around jiu-jitsu themes with foot sweeps and guillotine, and Isaac with a more classical wrestling approach.
Awesome. It sounds like a fascinating battle. I can't wait. I also wanted to ask you about your student Helena, obviously coming off of a really incredible year where she, really vaulted to a new level. ADCC medalist, making history, youngest ever. She's back on WNO. Everybody's really excited to watch her. Can you talk to me about Helena since ADCC, what you've seen from her, and maybe your thoughts on this matchup that she has with Leilani Bernales?
Yes, she's a truly remarkable young athlete, and of all the senior athletes, she was the one who came back first into training and had the least time off. She's competed several times since ADCC and done extraordinarily well. She's just continuing that upward trajectory. Her skills continue to improve at a very, very impressive rate. She's getting much more comfortable in the standing position, which is always traditionally a problem for her. Ground, she's equally dangerous on top or bottom. Her submissions just continue to get better. She's dangerous lower body, upper body, on the neck. She can do it all. She does, however, have a very tough opponent. Her opponent has trained at many of the best training schools in the world. I believe now she's at Fight Sports, but she's spent a significant amount of time at Atos. Both of them are young. Both of them are on an upward trajectory. Interestingly, both of them have been in many competitions where they could have faced each other, but for whatever circumstances, they just never actually got to match on the day. So there's always been this speculation, how would they do against each other? And we get to see at WNO.
We get to see at WNO December 4th for everybody. And then I want to ask about, you have one athlete on the undercard as well.
Yes.
Sebastian Attard taking on Dylan Melton. Can you tell me, Sebastian seems like kind of an entertainer from his online...
Sebastian is a classic Australian entertainer. Sebastian's one of many young Australians who have come to Austin, Texas to train. Sometimes when I'm training both here at Roker and at Renzo Gracie Austin, sometimes there's more Australians on the mat than there are Americans. Australia, as many people are starting to figure out, is really dove into submission grappling, and they've produced many outstanding young students. And Sebastian's one of this new generation of young Aussies who have taken this big pilgrimage to America and working on their submission skills. He's made great progress in the time that he's been here. He's taken on a very tough, very physical opponent who is a regular training partner with Pedro Mourinho, so you know he's going to be tough. With regards to Sebastian, as you say, he's a natural entertainer. When he trains at Renzo Gracie Academy in Austin, he often has the whole class rolling with laughter with his crazy Australian sense of humour. He's one of those guys who loves to entertain, loves to get out in front of a crowd, and I think people are going to love the show.
Awesome. I really can't wait for that. John, thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate it so much. Before we get out of here, is there anything else on your mind?
No, that's it. But I'm looking forward to seeing you all at WNO and wishing you all the best.